What's going on, guys? Nathan Lombardi here with Lambeau Media.
I'm Christian Bergman, former pitcher for the Seattle Mariners and Colorado Rockies.
And welcome back to another episode of the Walk It Off podcast on Walk It Off Wednesday. And make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up on this segment if you haven't already. And make sure to follow us on Instagram as well at walkitoff_podcast. The link will be in the description. And in this week's episode, we will later be joined by a very special guest, Alex Katz. He's in the Kansas City Royals organization. He's also the founder of a custom footwear designer. But before we get into that guest appearance, let's talk about two major topics. We have experienced another COVID-19 outbreak with the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll kick it off with that, and I'll give my opinion on that. There's been 13 confirmed cases for the St. Louis Cardinals in this COVID-19 outbreak, and they reportedly went to a casino before they all tested positive for COVID-19. So I think that's possibly a reason why they're experiencing an outbreak within the team. And their series versus the Tigers was postponed. So just like we were talking about last week, I'm still questioning how the MLB will handle this in the long run with everything going on with the playoff seeding and everything else with the other teams as well, with the Tigers, because obviously they're like I just mentioned, their series was postponed. So I'm questioning how those games will pan out throughout the season as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. The big thing is that when you have these teams that get these outbreaks, it has a ripple effect on the whole league, because first it starts with the Marlins and, now the Cardinals. And so, unless they're playing each other, that's going to affect at least two other teams.
Right.
It throws off the whole schedule. So, I don't even know that, other than the obvious of, not going out and going to casinos and stuff. I don't know if that's true. It seems like, I think the players recognize that they're not doing anybody any favors by, increasing the likelihood that something like this happens. So, I don't know how true that is, but, if they weren't doing that and someone still caught it and spread it throughout the team, I don't know that there's much else to do. I was saying a couple weeks ago that I'm surprised they're starting the season, because it's like there's no good way to really prevent something like this from happening. And when you're in a close environment like a clubhouse, there's not a whole lot you can do. When I was playing, if someone got like a stomach bug, those things travel quick too. And if you had that, and it happened to me once, I got it. I came in, I reported to the field and was like, hey, I got something going on. They're like, beat it, get out of here. Because, it spreads like wildfire throughout the clubhouse. So, they're going to have to address that, or, I still stand behind it. I don't think we're getting through 60 games.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you there. And we'll talk a little more about how we think the MLB should handle it. A little bit more in the fan question, because the fan question is kind of directed towards that topic. We talked about that a little briefly this week, because we talked about the COVID-19 outbreak with the Marlins last week more in depth. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you guys go check that out. We talked about it more deeply. But now that we wrapped up talking about that new COVID-19 outbreak within the St. Louis Cardinals, let's transition into the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They've gotten off to a slow start here in the 2020 season with a 3-7 record, which puts them 5th in the AL West. And Christian, what do you think the Angels' next step should be? Obviously, I think that they have the offensive tools with Trout, Pujols, Rendon, and Ohtani. They have the defensive tools with Trout, Simmons, and Rendon. What do you think What do you think their next step should be to be contending for a World Series championship?
Yeah, I think when it comes to anyone who wants to be a World Series contender, you got to have the pitching. You need those quality starts out of your starters. You need them to go deep into games. Even in this day and age where starters only go 5, maybe 6 innings. In a season like this, if you get a couple guys who can step up and give your bullpen a breather and keep those guys fresh and get you deep into a game, give you a good start, it's going to have a long-term effect is, a long-term effect on a short-term season.
Yeah.
Because those guys are going to be making, 10, 11, 12 starts, whatever it comes out to. So, guys like, Bundy's throwing well right now. That's good.
Yeah.
He's capable of doing that. Haney, so those guys need to, unfortunately, like you said, they've gotten off to a bad start. So they got to kick it into high gear here pretty quick. Otherwise, there's just not going to be enough time to make up the ground that they've lost.
Yeah, I can 100% agree with that. I think it's the Angels' pitching staff as a whole, from starters to middle relief guys to even closers. I think they need to step it up because, like I mentioned, they have the offensive and defensive tools, but they need. And not only do they have the offensive and defensive tools, but they also have the experience. Rendon just coming off of a World Series championship. Trout contending for an MVP almost every single season from his rookie year.
Right.
So you have those two guys, Justin Upton and Albert Pujols, with a ton of experience in their MLB career, and Andrelton Simmons even with some experience as well. So, and then they even have a good mix of young guys as well. They just called up a big prospect for them, Joe Adell, which will be huge for them down the line, but he isn't a pitcher. And that's not going to help out with their starters, their middle relief guys, and their closers. So, yeah, like you said, and like I just mentioned, I think it's their pitching staff as a whole.
I agree. They got to do it quick, otherwise they're going to run out of time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like we mentioned, it's only a 60-game season, so they're going to have to get a jump on it because they don't have much time, like you just mentioned. But now that we wrapped up those two amazing topics, let's transition into the amazing guest appearance of Alex Katz, where we talk about his career, being on Team Israel in the World Baseball Classic in 2017, and also being the founder of a company called Stadium Custom Kicks.
What's up, everybody? Today we're joined by Alex Katz, who's currently a left-handed pitcher in the Kansas City Royals organization, which he signed with at the beginning of this year. He was originally drafted out of St. John's University in 2015 in the 27th round by the White Sox. Has since then spent time in High A with both the White Sox and the Orioles. He also played for Team Israel in 2017, the World Baseball Classic. Spent some time with the Long Island Ducks last season of the Independent Atlantic League. Thrown about 200 innings so far in his career and struck out 204. So he's kind of a strikeout guy. I actually found this incredible. You've actually hit more batters than have hit homers off of you. 8 home runs hit off you in 200 innings, and you've hit 13. So I thought that was interesting. Also has off the field, a custom cleat company called Stadium Custom Cleats. So we'll get into that a little bit. But Alex, thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we were just talking. You're in New York. You got some weather coming through there the last couple of days, huh?
Yeah, there was a big storm a couple of days ago. I was actually riding my bike around the neighborhood yesterday, and I didn't realize how bad it actually was. There were some pretty big trees that fell on houses, and hopefully nobody got hurt. But there's definitely a lot of damage around here.
Yeah. So what is the last? Have you been at home the last couple months, or is that kind of what you've had to do since spring training got shut down?
Yeah, I've been home for a while because last year I was on the Ducks, which is only 30 minutes from my house. Then I thought I'd be away for half the year this year, but was only in Arizona for 2 weeks, and then we got sent home. So I've been home for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Like Christian mentioned, you were obviously on Team Israel for the World Baseball Classic in 2017. What was that whole experience like for you?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. Probably one of my top baseball experiences so far. Hopefully some more to come. But being a young, not too experienced professional ball player, and going from pitching in front of 2,000-3,000 fans to now 55,000 fans on the world stage, it's pretty incredible. And I've never had that much adrenaline in my life pitching.
Do you find that this is something I found, like going from, really minor leagues to the big leagues? It's a little like, mind blowing at first, how much bigger the crowd is and everything. But after a while, like all the noise and stuff for me just kind of blended into background noise. And I always found it, after getting there, I always found it more difficult in the minor leagues, because in the big leagues, like, you've got all this energy in the stadium, and it's just kind of like, it just kind of turns into noise, and the kind of the nerves go away. Did you get that in the baseball classic at all? Once you kind of
Yeah,
got used to it?
I agree. I agree with your statement 100%. I think I'm more nervous pitching on the backfields in Arizona
Right.
with two, the farm director and the pitching coordinator standing right behind home plate, staring at you the whole time, then pitching in front of 60,000 fans and however many fans are watching on TV. So
Right.
I think white noise
Yeah.
just it gives you some sort of advantage, and if you have adrenaline and you could control it, I think that can be a big help with your performance.
Yeah. Like spring training, uh, when you throw like your first couple bullpens and you've got like all the pitching coaches and all the coordinators standing right behind the mound, like that was maybe not nervous, but like, you know, it was more difficult to do that than, like you said, to throw in front of a bunch of people, because it is kind of like white noise.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
and knowing who exactly is watching you
Right.
is totally different than having a crazy amount of people who you don't know watching you.
Yeah. Did you do anything in particular pregame to like maybe calm down your nerves and settle the adrenaline at all?
Not at all. Honestly, it was kind of weird because in Korea and Japan, the bullpens were underneath the dugouts, or Korea was underneath the dugouts in like a basement. In the Tokyo Dome, it was behind the dugout. So it was dead silent in the bullpen. And after like the first couple innings, all the relief pitchers went into the bullpens, just in case we had to get hot. So we watched the game from the dugout, first couple. Obviously I had a lot of adrenaline there, super excited, pumped, hearing the crowd noise. And then when we went to the dungeon bullpens per se, it felt like we were in a living room watching the game on TV. So I was watching the game on TV, and they said get hot. 5 minutes later, the guys in the bullpens were watching me, cross those foul lines onto the mound. So it kind of felt like as a kid, thinking that you could jump into the TV to get into the TV and be on TV. It was kind of one of those moments, where you're watching TV and you feel like you're just chilling in someone's basement watching the game, and then a few seconds later you're actually on TV in the game.
Yeah. What was that moment like when because if you're coming out of like a dungeon, it's like complete silence
Yeah.
to, you know,
Yeah, I think no adrenaline, because it just felt like a regular bullpen, and
Uh-huh.
right.
in the off season to now, you know in a stadium with 60,000 fans. So
Right.
not only the amount of adrenaline that I had when pitching, but the amount how quickly I got that adrenaline when
Right.
leaving that dugout to go on the field.
Right. So Christian mentioned this a little bit in the intro he did. You were also the founder of Stadium Custom Kicks, where you guys customize footwear. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got all that started.
Yeah, I mean, the World Baseball Classic was huge for me from a baseball perspective and this side business. I was with the White Sox at the time, so we had pretty strict rules for footwear. So I even had black cleats with a little bit of white on my toe, and they made me Sharpie it out. So
Oh,
pretty
wow.
much had to wear solid black cleats in the minor leagues with the White Sox. So when
I
I
didn't
got
realize the
invited,
White Sox were like that.
yeah, they were. Now guys can wear white, gray, black. So they've definitely loosened restrictions. But 2006, 2015, 16, 17, they were pretty strict with those rules. So when I was invited to play for Team Israel, and we had like a silver, gray, and royal blue, and white, I thought it would be a good opportunity to get some custom cleats. Um, it was only a couple weeks before the tournament, so I didn't really have time to send it in to someone to paint. So I thought I might as well just try it myself. I had a little bit of an artistic background, not too much, but I knew I enjoyed it, and I knew I could do a neat job, even though I really had no idea what I was doing. So, a pair of cleats that I did with my friend back home turned into a little side business, and now a few years later, we have 12 artists working with us.
Wow, that's awesome.
How involved do the players get in on the actual customization of their cleats?
Yeah, I'd say there's like three different categories. There's the player that knows exactly what they want, every detail.
Right.
A player that somewhat knows what they want, but kind of leaves the rest to us. And then the player that really has no idea what they want. They know they want something cool, so we call it a freestyle, and that person just gives us their team, their colors, or a theme, like a Spider-Man theme or something like that, and kind of just let us go off on them.
Yeah,
Yes.
I never had enough swag to have completely customized cleats. My cleats, customization ended with like, the Nike ones that you can pretty much do online. But there are definitely, a good number of guys in the clubhouse who love doing that stuff. And
Oh yeah.
so do you still do some of the designs yourself?
Yeah, when I'm home in the off season, I do. When I'm playing, obviously, I can't be, I don't have the time, and I can't be traveling with all the equipment needed to
Yeah,
paint the
sure.
shoes. So, most of the stuff I do is more the social media marketing and business side to it. When I basically work when I have free time. So when I'm home now, I work out in the morning, get all my baseball stuff done, spend a few hours in the morning working on that, and then pretty much all afternoon I'm working on the company. During the season, bus trips, 8-hour bus ride, that gives me a lot of time to
Sure.
work on my phone and computer while guys are playing poker in the back. So pretty much, I don't have a set schedule for working on this company, but when I have free time and when I'm able to, I'm pretty much grinding away.
Yeah. So you played at St. John's for college ball, then obviously transitioned into playing pro baseball. What would you say the biggest difference was between the two?
I think college was a pretty smooth transition to professional baseball. I think it's a much bigger jump from high school to college than college to professional. At least at the D1 level or certain conferences in Division One. Because obviously the level of competition varies drastically between the number one D1 school and number 300 D1 school. So my college career ended in the regionals, and I pitched against Arkansas, who had Andrew Benintendi, the Golden Spikes Award winner, and
Right.
they went on to go to Omaha that year in 2015. So, pitching against them and pitching against Oklahoma State in the regionals was a very good transition, smooth transition for me to go from that to a couple of weeks later in rookie ball with the White Sox.
Did you go to Great Falls?
I started in the AZL for a few
Oh, okay.
weeks. I threw 9 innings there, and then I think I threw 25 innings in Great Falls that summer.
It was Great
So
Falls, yeah.
yeah,
That's what did you think of Montana? We only went up there once because I
yeah.
played
You're on Grand Junction?
Casper.
Oh, Casper.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, this was before Grand Junction.
yeah. Before Grand Junction.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, no, I remember my host family talking about Casper. I think they took trips up there a bunch to see Great Falls on the road, but
yeah.
definitely. I'd say a little bit of a culture shock. One thing that comes to mind when my parents came to visit, we saw in the GPS there was a Trader Joe's. So we said, "Oh well, it's a good place to get snacks." And we drove like 10 miles, and it was a Trader. It was called Trader Joe's, like cattle farm. It was in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't out of store. Um, so that's one of the most memorable off the field moments for
That's
me
great.
when it comes to like the culture and how different it is from New York.
That's funny. So you mentioned the 2015 season at St. John's. Obviously a dominating season, not only for you but the team as a whole. What do you think was so special about that 2015 St. John's team?
Yeah, I mean, I think you interviewed Tom Hackmer right a few weeks
Yep.
ago. He
Yep.
was he was one of our pitchers on our team there at St. John's. So I think we had 7 guys drafted that year alone, and then the next couple years after that with all the underclassmen from that 2015 team, I think there were maybe another 10 guys drafted. So I think maybe half or more than half of the team got drafted from that 2015 team. So there was a lot of talent on that team. Everyone got along. Everyone was super close with each other, and obviously still close to this day. So very good chemistry and a lot of talent. So it was definitely a lot of fun that season.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, Alex, What would you say is one thing that maybe a lot of people wouldn't know about you, not only on the field but off the field as well, away from the baseball side of things?
I enjoy flying my drone at visiting ballparks.
Oh, you're a drone guy.
Yeah, I got one in 2018 and take it on the road every trip. Always take the early bus just to fly
Did
my
you get
drone a
that
little bit.
from Ottavino?
Yeah, he was kind of the inspiration behind it. I
Yeah.
I think he started doing it way before I did.
Oh yeah, he
Um,
was when I played with him in Colorado. I want to say 2014, maybe early 2015. It was when the drones really started, becoming popular. And
yeah,
I don't think you're not supposed to fly him around the stadium anymore, like at all. They got pretty strict with that. But he was always doing these awesome shots of the stadium. He'd go out before batting practice and stuff. So, for those of you watching, we were talking before, and you and Ottavino are workout partners, right? Both New York guys.
yep, yep. Yeah, no, he used to come to Long Island and train, but obviously, now he's with the Yankees. He's training at the stadium. But since like 2012, we've been working out together in the off season. No, but he's big into photography. We actually he had a little Harlem workout place the last couple of years before he signed with the Yankees, and after working out, occasionally we would find cool spots in the city, Hudson River, and get some cool shots together. So
That's fine. I know exactly which pictures you're talking about because I remember seeing them at the time.
yeah, the one on the Hudson with
Yeah,
you can see the barges.
yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
one was pretty
Small world.
scary. That was pretty scary that day. I don't know. I don't know. That was pretty gutsy to fly the drone on the Hudson River with all the
Yeah, no
helicopters
kidding.
and
Yeah.
winds.
Yeah, for sure, Alex. Well, that wraps up everything we have for this week of the Walk It Off podcast. We really appreciate you coming on for this episode, Alex. Best of luck in the future, and we'll for sure stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Take care.
You too. And now that we wrapped up that amazing guest appearance of Alex Katz, let's transition into the fan question for this week. It's from the 4line on Instagram. They ask, what should the MLB do to keep the rest of the league safe and healthy and make sure players are following proper safety guidelines? Because like Christian and I just touched up on, we've already experienced 2 major outbreaks throughout the league. Christian, what are your thoughts, and what do you think the MLB should do to keep the players and staff healthy throughout the rest of the season?
Well, I think first of all, if that's true that they're going out and doing stuff, regardless of your personal belief and whether it's a big deal or not, you have to recognize that if an outbreak does happen on a team, which it has twice now, that's going to have a larger impact on the league as a whole. So if that's the case, if that's what's happening, I think you need to take responsibility and say, and just not go out to the casino. Like, you'll survive. You can play with the guys in your room or whatever. Like, you don't have to go out and do that.
Yeah.
And if guys aren't willing to do that, then just recognize that could ruin the season for everyone. So I think it's a little late to make any drastic changes, league wide or anything like that. I think it's kind of silly to have a chaperone for the teams. Like, I think they were talking about, having like a compliance person there to watch your every move. Yeah. Like they can't watch the whole team at once.
Yeah.
These are adults.
They're men.
Yeah, they're men.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Just recognize, your impact in the grand scheme of things, and if you don't want to play by the rules, then don't play.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And you brought up a good point before we started recording this, but I brought up that I thought the MLB should do something similar to what the NBA did with the bubble in Orlando, and how the NBA players can't even leave the resort in Orlando. Everything is confined to their resort in Orlando. No fans, no family, nothing. It's just the staff and the and the NBA players. The NBA did a really good job about doing what the players wanted. They have a lot of different stuff to keep the players entertained throughout the time that's spent there in Orlando. They have a barbershop there. They have a lot of chefs there for the players. But you brought up a good point as how are they going to fit all of these big rosters of the MLB teams in these small hotels, in these resorts, like the NBA is doing in Orlando. So that would be definitely something that's interesting. You brought up something about possibly doing that in California because they have the Dodger Stadium and the Angels Stadium. So give us a little insight on what your thoughts on about what they should have done in California.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with the success they've had so far in the NBA, obviously a much higher contact sport.
Yeah.
So much more likely, transmission, I guess. Yes, teams are smaller. Right. So, that's a major league team is 6 times bigger than an NBA team.
Yeah.
So, while it could work in Orlando for the NBA, I think you'd have to go to a place, like you were saying, in California, where you've got the Dodgers, the Angels, and the Padres, all within, basically 2 hours of each other, at the most. And, you could have the West in Dodger Stadium, the Central, AL and NL, the Central in Angel Stadium, the East in Padres Stadium, stagger the games out, and, try and keep it contained and do something similar that they did. And again, it goes back to, if you as an individual don't like that and don't want to be told that you have to stay in a bubble, opt out.
Yeah, don't play.
But, that if that's what gets the season in with the least amount of disruption possible, that may just be what you have to do. If you don't like it, you don't have to play.
Yeah.
And it seems like I'm being kind of flippant about it, but I think everyone just has to recognize that if you want to get the season in, it's what's got to be done. It's regardless of your personal belief, and and you don't have to. You're not forced to do anything. So that's just me.
I mean, I agree with that 100%. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. They're grown men. They can make their own decisions. If they don't want to comply to certain rules that the MLB makes throughout the season, then opt out. So those are my beliefs on that. And that wraps up everything for week 6, episode 6 for the Walk It Off podcast on Walk It Off Wednesday. Thank you guys for tuning in for the amazing guest appearance of Alex Katz and talking about another COVID-19 outbreak and what the Angels should do to make a move to contend for a World Series championship. But that wraps up everything I have. Do you have anything to add on to that, Christian?
No, it's a good talk this week. Looking forward to next week. And as usual, subscribe, comment below, send in your questions.